Hi everyone, welcome back to the Reddit drama channel with another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and like the video if you enjoy it. Also, please click the notification bell so you won't miss when another cheating story goes live. These simple clicks mean a lot to our channel, and thank you for your support.
Girlfriend went to a party and came back with someone she hid in the balcony. I just recently discovered that my girlfriend of 3 years cheated on me and I am devastated and I can't understand how it is possible since we both loved each other so much. We met each other 3 years ago and we immediately fell in love. I am now 29 and she's 26. We moved into the same place, and although we both had various relationships previously, we felt that this was the perfect final one. We lived very well for the first 2.5 years, giving all to each other and being completely in love and devoted to each other. We had very little fights and great amount of fun, sex, going out, freedom, holidays, etc. Last summer, she started to tell me about how she felt like she wasn't having much say in the relationship and she was feeling worthless. She has a history of depression and a dependent personality disorder. I tried to listen to her, but I apparently did not give enough importance to her words, and although I always tried to make her feel appreciated and wanted, it is as if she could not see it. I was seeing her so happy that I underestimated the importance of her words and how hard it must have been for her to properly communicate with me. Anyways, we had a few talks and both said we would try harder to improve it. During the summer, she did a few things that were disrespectful towards me, disappearing a few nights and ignoring calls and texts, getting drunk and coming home very late without saying anything, etc. This only made me very insecure, worried, and stressed, but I still tried to understand the reasons behind it all and I suggested she see a therapist, as she did when we met. She went once in September 2018, but because of the costs and because we were getting a bit better during that time, she did not go anymore. Biggest mistake. From September to the end of October we were doing much better, enjoying our flat, our time, etc. But then in November she started a new job and she met a lot of new people. Her attitude changed, she started to drink more and spend much more time with colleagues at work, staying after work drinking basically. She then went to a party in December with them and took ecstasy, which we only did together in our time together and never separately, with the person she had the crush, a 23 years old guy who is in a relationship and already has a child of 2 years old. I tried to be supportive, forgive her, trying to explain that I could see she was not being herself, but it was probably the depression taking over. I tried to explain to her that to me and to all our friends in common she seemed very unhappy and different than before. She asked for space as she was not sure about the relationship anymore and attempted to break up with me few times, but I loved her so much and always tried to show her that we could have worked it out, that we needed space, etc. and I tried to give it to her. I also tried to ask her to go to therapy with me and to see that perhaps her trauma in childhood, divorced parents and screwed up past, are playing a role in how she's dealing with the situation. So, I gave her time, but I realized that she was just spending more and more time with her colleagues and the crush guy, which surely did not help her to focus on us and helped her to actually end our story. Staying out longer after work, everyday drinking, etc. Which I believe only increased the bond between the two of them. Eventually time passed by and the situation did not improve but instead got worse in the past few weeks. She sometimes does not come home at night and I could see her so tense and uncomfortable with me, which was so not her or us. So I then confronted her and asked if she had something going on with this guy, but she said not and that it was only a friend and the crush feelings were over. Nonetheless, the situation just got worse and worse and I couldn't take any longer the feelings of not being wanted, being avoided, etc. I then went away for a few days and when I came back she was extremely different and she confessed to me that she took acid with her friends, and the crush guy. She was so different towards me and I started to believe that it was probably due to the acid, although I took them myself and I know they don't usually change you like that. After a week, I expressed that I couldn't take this anymore, the feeling of being avoided, unwanted and seeing her like she was hiding something, etc., and we broke up. The same evening, I went to sleep at friends to leave her space, but she instead went out with the crush guy to ecstasy with him and took him back to our apartment to have sex. I went back there in the morning of the day after, as she knew I had to go back to pick up some of my stuff and because that is our apartment, and I found the guy hidden in the balcony, which was a bit of a hilarious situation. Moreover, I discovered that they did had sex even a week before the night on acid. I am still in shock and despite this all, I forgave her because I feel that she hasn't been herself in the past few months and she must be so broken inside that she can't think clearly. I know she's very vulnerable and I think the situation with this guy, who also broke up with his GF a month ago, is in no way helping her to think rationally. Perhaps this was only a way for her to end this with me and she could not see other ways of doing it, which is still not an excuse. I am okay with accepting the end of our relationship, but I find it very hard to see her getting involved in this fucked up situation instead of just focusing on herself. I can see that she's not thinking clearly and she also knows this, but it is like she can't do anything but see this guy to whom it seems to have a major attraction, perhaps because they are both broken. Whatever I say to her now is like if doesn't reach her brain, and I can only hope that with time she will realize what she's doing is completely fucked up and she will regret all this, because one thing is breaking up in a respectful way and concentrate on your life. Another is breaking up, cheating, and getting involved with a colleague who is also full of problems, who has a kid of 2 years old and just broke up with his girlfriend. I also try to explain to my ex that she's still in time to reflect on all this, and I could consider getting back together if she shows real remorse and she understands that this is not good for her nor for anyone else but is only damaging further different people. Problem is that I feel right now she cannot feel remorse and cannot understand clearly how this is wrong. It will only happen with time, months possibly, and I am not sure if after such time I will be able to start something with her again. I felt the need to share it with someone. Thank you. Here is the second story.
I am 22, was in what I thought was a pretty perfect and steady relationship of 2.5 years with a girl, 21, I met at uni.
We genuinely had something special and people would always comment on how strong we seemed. Sure, there were moments we had our ups and downs, but things always resolved themselves. Just under 2 months ago she went out for a night out with some people from work and everything seemed normal. We were both slightly stressed about finals, but otherwise nothing seemed unusual. Next morning she tells me that she and a group of coworkers went back to one of the guys' houses. Next thing it's just her and him and they end up going the full way. She walks out midway feeling guilty and confesses to me the next morning. Okay. I'm forced into saying the relationship is over and hate myself for doing so. Completely distraught I find myself ODing and spending the WE in hospital. She visits, also distraught, and tells me everything will be okay. Even promises that she won't see this guy again because he means nothing to her. 2 days out of hospital and she goes on another social. We lived in the same shared house, so she tells me don't ask where I've been tonight / don't ask what I've done. This was honestly the worst night of my life. I became so paranoid about what she was doing that I desperately started ringing her later that evening. Of course, she didn't answer because, as she would later tell me, they were in the middle of having sex, which I supposedly interrupted. Here's my pickle. They've had sex a few more times now. And, whilst I think I will never be able to get over the whole cheating thing, everything seems so out of character. Apparently she's still completely in love with me, but somewhere she lost the passion / needed a thrill, and, going by what she now says, it seems that even she has a glimmer of hope that one day we will get back together. She explained the couple of weeks she slept with him as a way of punishing herself for hurting me, yet I'm not sure whether this is just an excuse. Either way, before we dated she was my best friend and even now we speak every day. I rely on her for emotional support and comfort, but deep down I'm worried I just want to get back into the relationship. Should I just break off contact altogether and risk losing the girl of my dreams / one of my best friends, who just seemed to lose the plot a bit, or should I stay friends but risk further emotional turmoil when she starts dating someone else? Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for any future cheating stories.